Welcome back. Welcome back to the course, Privacy and Security in Online Social Media, Week 6, Part 3. Right? So in Week 1, we saw how law enforcement, law and order organizations can actually use social media, getting actionable information. That was Part 1, actionable information. Part 2, we went on to privacy a little bit to look at privacy policies of services that we use. This week, we are actually going to do something called as identity resolution in identifying profiles of people in multiple sources. It's an interesting privacy question. It has interesting business value for doing the resolution also, but indirectly it gives a privacy concern. So we'll actually look at what it is. As always, I hope that you're enjoying the class. You are connecting. So I think that's something important. I keep asking you to think about it, but hopefully you're also able to make some connections, which is connecting content in the class to outside the class. Content class to outside class. Meaning, I think this is, if you're able to build this skill, which is that you're learning this identity resolution as part of this class, and you're able to actually think, have a conversation with people, let's take 2 days after listening to this lecture, about the identity resolution problem, about the idea of this, figuring out whose account is this, or figuring out actionable information from social, and you've talked to your uncle who works for some organization and having a conversation. I think those are the best ways to actually learn the content or imbibe the content into your understanding of these topics. So I think that's super critical. Try and see if you can get some content of the course connected to you like that. So before getting into identity resolution, let's also look at this idea of sort of say figuring out your profile, your identity from the personally identifiable information that people share on social media. If you remember in elections, we talked about people are sharing a hashtag, I voted, right? @ candidate name, hashtag, location, all of this, right? So people are actually sharing this so that the secret ballot idea, which is nobody should know who you voted for, is kind of broken here when people post this tweet or share it on social. Similarly, if you look at cell numbers, many of us think that cell numbers are personally identifiable. There's no question about that, right? It is a PII. It identifies you with your cell number. There is argument that, look, sometimes one cell number is being used more than one person, so it's not really identifying the person, all that. Those arguments are valid. I'm not sort of say opposing those arguments, but it is also PII. Let's remember that. Just pause the video and think about whether you have actually shared your cell number on social at some point in time. The other is think about whether you have seen posts that are that has these cell numbers as part of the post itself. A sample post, which is, hi everyone, I lost my phone yesterday, you can contact me, blah, 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 thank you. Right. So I think these are, right. So these are posts that comes on the social, clearly saying that the cell numbers, right? Here is a set of cell numbers. Here is post and set of cell numbers, right? All of this is very, very available on social media. And I think collecting them also is not that very hard, right? You should be able to collect this information with the methods that we've already seen, which is what I wanted to highlight now, which is a 10-digit number starting with 6, 7, 8, or 9, country code being 911. That's the different formats that you can actually see the cell number, right? So if you know that this is for India, but if you were to look at the same kind of study for other parts of the world, we should be able to generate some heuristics, regex, to figure out the posts with cell numbers. It's not, it is little work, but it's not very hard to do that. Right? So different formats in which the numbers can be shared, which is 91, something like this, 91 dot blah blah blah, 0, 91, plus 91, and then a hyphen after every 4 digits, 91 this way, 91 bracket. I don't think so. Some of these are very common in India. For example, this I don't know whether it's common. This, but of course this and this are super common that you will see. So ultimately, and by the way, all these numbers are actually taken from formats are taken from some posts that we have seen on social. So the idea is to show that the numbers actually show up in different formats on social. What we did was to actually build a small pipeline in identifying the Indian cell numbers from these platforms. Feel free to go look at the paper. The paper is all at on the website. I think this kind of work people have done at some point in time, and there are other ways by which you can collect these kind of numbers now. I'm sure there are methods that you can do. More data can be collected now because more numbers are coming. One of the other things that we've been looking at is also, this is cell numbers, right? So this slide is talking about cell, but think about passport numbers, passport pictures itself. Meaning, I'm sure if I get you to go to social and look at how many people are uploading pictures of passport, there are many. I mean, one of my the course that I taught on campus, the same course here that you're listening to, we do a homework, we do an activity around finding out, let's take Aadhaar number on social, Aadhaar pictures on social. Right? Aadhaar gives you a lot of details, right? Including your picture, including your home address, including so to say gender, all of that. So can you actually take this picture, figure out what information in this, and do something with that information? Keywords, which is call, ring, keyword selection, which is what is done here. Then there is Facebook Graph API, Twitter API. This all you know. So the idea was that how can you get Indian mobile cell numbers? The goal was, can you actually get these kind of numbers from social, particularly from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. That's the goal. Again, if any of you are interested, do this by yourself now and share your results with me. Some of you in recent interactions, in the doubt clarification session before the quiz 1, asked about projects to be done. See whether you can actually do this as a project. Just look at Aadhaar number from these posts, and but get the information from Aadhaar number. Meaning Aadhaar number finding maybe images may be okay, but can you actually use that image to get the text from it, and then use that to do something else? Data was collected for the architecture that I said before, and in this architecture. About 70,000 numbers, 40,000 numbers were collected from about 35 36,000 user profiles. Right. So this is data from Twitter and Facebook. One can think of this data to be collected in other places also, right? LinkedIn, I don't know, the Quora would have cell numbers, right? Reddit. The next thing to do with the post is that can you actually identify whether this number, because one of the things that we were very interested in knowing is that, going back to the slide, right? Did you share the information or did others share your information? It could be that I posted a cell number, but I was not actually talking about my number. I was actually talking about a student in my class. Ulta. Student is posting a number. Student is saying that, oh, if you have any doubts on privacy and security in online social media, call this number. And then they post PK's cell number. Right. So that's the ownership that we wanted to understand, which is who's posting the information, and is the owner of the number posting or somebody else posting. Post, frequent action words has the first person pronoun. If as owner posted the tweet, no feedback, no Facebook for next 2 days. If you want to contact, call me at this number. I'm talking about myself. This information is everyone, pranker, blah, blah, blah. Here is the Insta profile. Right? It's not the first person number, somebody else's number. So ownership, Twitter owner, mechanism is the you can get the information from bio, you can get the information from tweet, right? In bio, I say that PK IIT Hyderabad, and then my cell number. That's one way. The other way is visiting X city, call me, number if you are around. Right, so this is profile, this is tweet. Right, non-owner, which is somebody else's posting, mobile numbers is 18, total about 0.02%, 30% of it is owners. Facebook is again same thing, 22%, and 0.01% of it is in non-owners, which is they are not posting. Which applications are used to share the mobile numbers? I think these are all very standard analysis of tools used to post. Right? People can use TweetDeck, they can use Insta directly, they can use LinkedIn. Right? So that's and this information is available in the JSON when you collect the social post. So Facebook, Twitter feed, Google, LinkedIn, and TweetDeck. Largest being in this case TweetDeck and Twitter feed and Google. Which applications are used to share mobile numbers on Facebook? Same thing, right? 50% of it is on Facebook mobile, but idea is same, which is where did the numbers come from? Numbers on Twitter and numbers on Facebook. So one another thing that while doing this, I don't think so, at least I was aware of a lot of details about the cell number, but as we started working on the problem, we understood that how does the cell number work, what is the first n number of digits, next 10 minus n number of digits, and then how these operators, so which is net, telecom, zone, metro, or circle, B circle, there's a way by which these numbers are given. But today, because of the, so to say, where the numbers can be moved, for example, the numbers that I use, I've been using it wherever I go, right? So therefore, this mobility of numbers have become much more easier than probably a decade before. Yeah, so that's the topographical analysis of how a Delhi number would look like, Mumbai number would look like versus Kerala. So the risk that we were trying to study at some point was that, look, I think the cell number sharing, one can argue that, look, what can go wrong? Right? What can go wrong in terms of the collection of this information by somebody? Of course, there is question there, but unfortunately, people like us can actually connect the information from, let's take a platform like Ocean, where we collect information about a user, citizen, that is data available on government sources. And then you can look at this kind of a connection where information is available on social, put them together and create a profile. That's what we ended up doing here, which is from a random mobile number from your Twitter account. We went and found your name, age, gender, father's name, address, voter ID, and who did share. They did not share the detail. Which is, if you remember, owner versus non-owner, that's the answer here. Other user, again, random. So this is worrying because unknown number, because the number, let's take, shows up in an account called Ponguru. You have no connection, right? No connection, because this is not really a PII in that sense. But with this number, I was able to actually connect to where you live with your driver's license number, with your address, with your age, with your gender, all of that. I don't know how you think it's intruding, but again, if you remember the privacy indices, so depending on where you are, fundamentalist, pragmatist, and unconcerned, you would be worried accordingly. One thing that we did at that point was that can you actually build a mechanism by which we can tell people that their numbers are public? Thanks to some students' efforts at that point, we built a free switch using app solution where we actually set it up in a way that it would actually call the cell numbers that we had from the database, take the data number from the database, pick the number, call the number, ask them to do a survey, record all the interactions with the user, and store it. Which is, if let's take H was in the data, H cell number was in the data, call the H, ask them to answer a survey. I'll just get to the survey in a second. Which is interactive voice response system, IVR, which is if you go to a ICICI bank customer service number, it says, right, press 1 for English, press 2 for Tamil. That's called IVR. Depending on your choices, it takes you that part of the tree of the questions or the answers. Right. So this is the tree that we had, which is number being called, how many people picked, how many people did not pick, the other way around, which is how many people picked here. And then when they pick, we ask them the question, which is, we are so-and-so. Did you post the number? Who posted the number? Were you aware that your number was public? And how many people gave some feedback about what we had done, which is communicating the risk, right? So it's a huge area. I mean, I have like 1 or 2 books on this topic called risk communication. Communicating risks at different levels, right? Medicines that you take, the road signs of free left and red signal, and all of that is some way communicating risk to people if something goes wrong. The tobacco, which says that cigarette packet, which says that, look, this is injurious to health, that's actually risk communication that it is doing. Fantastic area. Yeah, there's lots of interesting sort of say computer sciencey work also that could be done on risk communication, given particularly the way that we use social today. Right, so we wanted to communicate risk with as many users as possible. So we got this sort of say survey IVR done, collected some data which was used for this kind of analysis. So here are some feedback that we got. I want to know how to remove my number. when we did this study, I was very excited, fascinated about it. But we also got some very, very touching feedback from people who actually went through the survey and got back to us saying, wow, how to remove my number was one of the most common questions that I got asked at that point in time. I don't know, I haven't put my number purposely, but if it is there, please, where exactly is it is there. I would also like to know that, please get in touch with me ASAP. It is very nice. It is a very nice process that you're doing and making people aware about online frauds and telephone number frauds, but your system is basically calling business houses. So keep in mind about these sharing of the cell numbers, sharing of personally identifiable information itself. We ended up building an app around it called Social Caller, which is trying to, Truecaller was our inspiration, which showed who's calling, depending on the numbers being shared from the users. So we said that Social Caller would do the same thing. When you're getting a call, we will pick this number, go to social, find out the social media post which has that number, and show you that detail here, which is in this case, name Paridhi, who's the student who used to work on this project, number is this, Twitter is this, and the source is, the text in the tweet is this, or the profile is this. When we made this public, a lot of users downloaded the app, it's an Android app that we built, downloaded the app, started looking for their own numbers and seeing where the numbers existed in social. If you remember, one of the critical things that people ended up asking is that where exactly it is there. Right? I don't know. Is it in LinkedIn? Is it on a website? So for example, you want to make sure that your numbers are not available publicly online for anybody to access. That's a paper. We made this title as Call Me Maybe. If you're into listening to songs, that's a very popular song, Call Me Maybe. And that's the work that we did. Call Me Maybe, Understanding Nature and Risks of Sharing Mobile Numbers on Online Social Networks. Let's move on. A location-based social network. I've mentioned this before, but I wanted to just refresh your memory on location-based social networks are networks where location becomes the atomic information. In YouTube, the video is the atomic information. In location-based social network, location, in this case, I'm saying International Institute of Information Technology, Hyderabad. So that is the location from where I'm doing the post. That's useful. Location-based information has, for example, these are check-ins done by somebody in Foursquare, and this is the check-in done by somebody who's very frequently visited the location. This is Mayor. I mentioned about Mayor some time back. Which basically means that if you are the person who comes to that location most number of times in the last 60 days, you become the mayor of that location. Mayor just allows you to get more discounts, more, so to say, in a restaurant, the chief chef may come and meet you if you enter a restaurant where you are the mayor. Things like that happen. And for that, people actually do check-in. So the idea in Foursquare is check-in, even in Facebook. So if you go back, this is basically putting the location there, is saying that you are in that location, which is check-in. Two pieces of work that we did, which is to look at how we can derive your home location. Just imagine if you are a mayor of a location here and a location here. I don't know whether this is accurate, but you can actually make some inferences whether this is your home and this is a place of work. One can also ask the question, do I even check into my home and the place of work? Place of work may be, but home it's not clear. right? So that's where we were interested. This data is also very, very interesting data, which is Foursquare, entire data in some sense. We used to analyze the location of users in Foursquare with their check-ins, with their dones and tips. These are so to say basic words, basic ideas in Foursquare. A tip is something you say, oh, I went to Saranabon, the food was good. Done is, I've looked at this tip and I think that I would probably do it when I get an opportunity to go to Saranabon, right? Ideas of like, share, and retweet. Foursquare has these ideas called venue, check-in, tip, done. Take a look at the paper. My idea was only to say that using the location-based social network like the PII cell number, you can actually re-identify a lot of things. In this case, re-identify the place of work, home address, all that. There was large amount of accuracy also in terms of finding out the home location with some accuracy of the kilometers that you're away from your actual home. Of Twitter users through random forest. This is again methods to use the location-based data to infer some information about the users. Text-based Twitter user geolocation prediction. Can we actually predict location of the user through the text that they're putting? Whether I post, let's take weather in Delhi can be better. So let's take can be better and then a smiley face, right? So can you make an inference that I'm actually now in Delhi? Right. So that's the location based. I think this weak part seems to be a little, so to say, bits and pieces, but the idea is to inject the concept of location-based social network and location-based social network, how it can be, because we are talking about this re-identification of users using their cell numbers that are publicly available. And we will talk about now identity resolution of information of you or of people, of accounts in different networks. We place this location-based social network in the spot. Okay, so here is what the identity resolution idea is. If you look at my social media handles, right? So, this is Facebook, this is LinkedIn, this is Insta, this is reversed, this is Insta, and this is Twitter. The question that is important to ask is that, are these four the same person? Why? Because let's take one example of IIT wants to send ads about the new course or a program. For example, let's take even IIT Madras. No, you can replace this with IIT Madras. All right, IIT Madras wants to send ads to people about the BS program. Should I send 4 ads? Should I spend money on figuring out sending 4 ads to these 4 accounts if I'm actually doing ads in all these platforms? Or should I figure out that all this is 4 and only send the ad once to any of the platform? It's a business question, but I think it's an important question, right? This resolution of the identity has been a very, very critical question for a long time in databases also, because in academic sense, it is very, very useful, is because I have later slides also about this, which is Ponnurangam K. P. Kumaraguru Ponnurangam Kumaraguru, right? So let's take if I end up writing papers with all these three different types of names, are these three people the same person, right? Because if you want to do the citations, count the citations, should I merge these three people and then add all the citations, or they are independent people? Or even when I'm looking for papers written for Ponnurangam K, should I actually search for Ponnurangam Kumaraguru also as an author? Let's say Google wants to do the query expansion from the input keywords given to it. Which one should Google use? Just pause the video and think about it for a few seconds, no? Which is, in my case, I've kept it as Ponnurangam Kumaraguru, Ponguru, and PK.Profgiri. Why would anybody keep it same? Why would anybody keep it different? And what is the purpose for doing it? In my case, I'll show you later also, in my case, I think it's very evident that I have kept it this way so that it's easy to actually resolve my identity. But I would urge you to think about, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody not do it, let's say? Why would somebody go to the extent of doing things that doesn't get resolved as the same user? What is identity resolution? Identity resolution is the idea of merging two accounts, finding two different accounts. Given two accounts, can you actually figure out whether they're the same set of users, right? Or the same user. So you were given U1, U2. It could be that, or it could be given. So multiple questions we can ask. Once again, let me go here. Multiple questions you can ask, right? One is, given these two, can you find out that it's the same person? Or given this, can you go to the other three? All of that as the identity resolution question connected to it. We use multiple devices, we use multiple platforms, we use multiple accounts on the same platform, right? At home, I mean, even in your own, if you open your Facebook, I'm sure some of you have more than one Facebook account or one Insta account, right? So how do you manage it? Can you actually figure that out? Even Insta itself, can they figure out that it's the same account? Given that it's actually being used from the same phone, does it mean that it's the same account? Can they make some inferences from the data that they have? Developing a unified profile for the user. Can we give a view to the user that, look, you are the same person in all these four platforms. Do you want to use your platform, use your services in this way? Also called as entity resolution or profile matching. Right? The idea of identity resolution is also called as entity resolution and profile matching. Why do identity resolution, right? So I think I've already argued some parts of why to do identity resolution, which is marketers, organizations spend less money. There are ads that I said by IIT Madras. Users get a unified experience across devices. If you only figure out that it's the same user, can you actually do something that my experience of using these apps, solutions are actually connected together? Law enforcement agencies, of course, they have a better view of are they looking at one person as the account or one person behind these four accounts? Are they looking at four persons? If they want to know whether it's a criminal, whether it's a victim, all that. So this is the slide that I said earlier that I'll show you. This is Lori Faith Craner is the author here. In this case, it's Lori Faith Craner. Right, so in this case, it is Lori Craner. Are these the same people? Are these the same person? Are they different researcher or author? Will be interesting to know. And this has been a problem that people have been studying using the academic papers that are published. Right, meaning one of the ways that you can think of doing it is, which is what we will look at in detail now. This is privacy here, there's privacy here, and if you expand this also has privacy, right? Using this, and this, can you say that, look, I think it's all the same person? Other connections could be the university, right? This is CMU. Unfortunately, here that's the aspect I wanted to show also here. Here it is AT&T. Here it is CMU. So these two has the organization same, but the names are different. These two have the names same, but the organization's different. Fantastic, sort of say, problem in hand, I guess. How do you resolve that these both Lori Faith trainers are same? Can just this privacy be okay to do it? Possibly, if there's only limited set of people, if there's a way to figure out that there's only limited set of people who do privacy, then probably that is possible. But if not, it can be disastrous to say that this is the same person. Why identity resolution is a privacy topic? It's because if the resolutions are resolved, then if I don't want my identities to be resolved, and if algorithm is able to resolve my identity, then it's actually a problem, right? That's when the privacy comes. More the profile is resolved, less the privacy for the user, in case if the user wants more privacy. Okay, now let's look at how to resolve this identity, right? Until now, what we have been seeing about my account is what is identity resolution, why is it needed, all that. Here is the ways to try, right? I'm guessing that most of you are connected to me on social, so you can go look it up yourself in case if these pictures have changed by the time you actually watch the lecture. I'm guessing that this picture will stay for some time at least, but in case if these pictures are also changing, so please go take a look at my profiles at that point in time whenever you're listening to this lecture. So the question is that, can you use the profile picture? Can you use the cover picture? Can you use the text that I've added here, right? Prof Giri, PC Chair Giri, blah, blah, blah. If you look at in my case, this text is same, this image is same, the background image, if you go to these networks, it will be same. And I use this, and I do this very, very consciously, that all platforms have most of the times all platforms have the same details, right? So now the question is, what are these features? These features are, as I said, profile picture, cover picture, time of the post. Time of the post is actually a great feature to find out, which is in my case also you will find. I do a post A on Facebook. I do the same post on Twitter, same post on LinkedIn, same post on Insta, and the time difference between these posts may be less than a minute, or probably a few minutes, let's take. So that just tells you that, look, even though if the profile may be different, right? Even though the profile picture, even though the background picture may be different, cover picture may be different, the profile is same is because the time of the post is just the same, right? Cross posting is happening, which is I've done this many times, which is Facebook allows me to add more pictures, more than 9 pictures, whereas LinkedIn does only 9, Twitter does only 4 per post. So what I do is I add, let's take 40 pictures in Facebook, and then use the same Facebook link in my Twitter and in my Insta and in my LinkedIn post. That's called cross posting. I'm using the same link from one post, connecting it to my other accounts. So this, if you do, then again, the resolution is very easy, right? You're connecting your own accounts. One can argue that, look, I can actually connect to somebody else's account, which is fair. But more likely that if you're saying these are pictures that I have uploaded And for more pictures, go to Facebook. Then it's easy. Profile info having other network details, which is if you get access to my Facebook friend list and my Twitter friend list, can you make some connect and then say that, look, most of them are students, most of them are faculty, most of them are researchers, most of them live in either Delhi or in Hyderabad. So give me all that, can you actually find? So that's the network and that's the profile also. People are all faculty. So now looking at only the username, right? We started with the question of Lori Faith Craner, Ponurangam Kumaruru Ponguru, right? In that case, can you use the username only to figure out the identity resolution, which is similar length? So I'll show you some examples later also how people have changed static behavioral patterns, similar length, similar choices of characters, similar arrangement of characters, temporal evolution in length, which is, for example, earlier I think my Insta handle was that, and then now I went to pk.profgiri to this, pk.profgiri, right? So there's a lot of overlapping in the text. Is that a feature that you can use to make the decision? Evolution of choices of characters. Potentially, if I'm going to change some of my other accounts, I'll end up making it as Profgiri again in other platforms. So is that okay? Evolution of arrangements of characters. PK here, and then let's take somewhere PK here, right? Or PK at the same place. All of this can be used to make the decision whether it's the same account. Common username, this is username reuse. I'll show you some examples where I've not changed I don't know how often any of you have changed your username. I don't change my username very often. I've actually not changed at all. The only time I've changed my account is this in Insta when I moved from Delhi to Hyderabad. Occasional reuse of patterns, common username that is being used, best similarity score. Can you find the score between the two handles and can you use that? Second best similarity score, common user set, temporal ordering of the user, temporal sync. So let me show you some examples. You will understand temporal sync also from this, which is, if you look at this, are two actual data that we collected from which I'm showing you, which is usernames on Twitter, which is BigESE, some REZY, this, Swampson, this one, and Swampy Kid. So many times they changed, right? So the 1 and 1 was same here. This spot and this spot is same here, right? And then this part and this part is exactly same, and this part and this part is exactly same. So essentially in the Insta, the 4 Insta handles that they had, this user had is a subset of the usernames that are come from Twitter. But if you know this, I think it's fantastic to do the identity resolution. But the only challenge here is that getting this list is also a little harder, right? You basically want to know all the handles that an account has had ever in the platform, which is going to be a little hard, right? Because if you think about the data collection that we know as part of this class, we only know to collect the user handle as of now. How do I know what handles you had before? There's no endpoint that can give you that data. So essentially, if you want to do this, you have to keep track of all the users whom you want to resolve the identity. Right. So this paper talks about a lot of details about this fb.me, which is the one that I said, if you cross-post, the Twitter will actually show you fb.me as the link to the post that you shared on Twitter from Facebook. Identifying user across multiple online social networks. So yeah, this kind of resolution is very, very useful in terms of, again, in terms of finding whether you're looking at the same user account, right? So for example, I go to Twitter, I get a handle, I get a name. I don't know, the Twitter probably says that, for example, one of the account that I recently saw was living the life for the fullest. That's the profile that it has. Profile picture is some flower, let's take. But I got the name from here. So I go to LinkedIn. I share that, I search for this name on LinkedIn. I get some profile there. Can I actually make some connections to that profile using this LinkedIn and Twitter? I think it'll be nice to know, right? It'll be nice to know whether this is the same person, because this person is working on a particular topic of my interest. Twitter handle is talking about some papers that he or she has written. So if that's the case, then I think it's very, very useful to know. Where is the student studying? What kind of work has she done before? Very useful from an academic point of view. I'm just giving you this as an example, but I'm sure you can think of other ways by which you can benefit from this identity resolution also, which may itself be a task for you. Stop the video and think about how to make use of this identity resolution in whatever you do, and share it on the discourse, or share it with me also. So when we were doing this, there was this interesting question that we started asking, right? Given that we are able to resolve these identities, can we actually communicate to the user? Connecting to the last part of this week, which is risk communication, right? This is also sort of a risk, right? You are saying that, look, the identity that you have and the information that you're sharing here may be at risk because the identity may be resolved. That's what I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes here. So this one is Nudging Nemo, helping users control linkability across social networks. This was a PhD work by Rishabh, which says username is this, name is this, username is Bob ATFBB13, name is Bob M. Dillon, location is New York, website is this. Right? That's the Facebook URL. And the Twitter is this, 13 Bob TW, Bob Martin, New York, and the website for the Twitter is this. And the user is Bob. That is what we are trying to resolve. Low linkability score. The output is low linkability score. It's very hard to do the resolution. But the one on the right hand side is Alice FP12, Alice Media House, New York, USA, Alice Media TW, Alice Media House, New York, and then there is Twitter handle, high linkability score. So in this case, it is red 0.2. In this case, it's green 0.6. It's a system that we made, Nudging Nemo. Of course, it's named against the movie Finding Nemo. And Call Me Maybe, last part I showed you earlier this week, I showed you Call Me Maybe, which is on movie. Many of the tools that we build are sort of inspired by movies, inspired by these characters that we see. If this identity resolution is of interest to you, take a look at Rishabh's thesis document. Lots of talks are also publicly available, and come back to me to talk about this problem. Right? So this one is given a social network, given two social networks, and you have the user data. Can you actually find out what the linkability scores for these two accounts are in these two platforms? Right, so when I know that this is Ponguru, this is pk.profgiri, right, that's the input, Ponguru is the input, right? I need to go get data from the respective platforms about the source, about the profile picture, about the cover picture, all that. And there are many tools like this. Finding Nemo is one of them, but there is Hydra, there is Mobis, there's many more listed in the thesis, and we compared the methods that we developed to these methods. And now that I have the profile picture, can you do all the data collection and do the comparison as we said before and find the linkability score? Right. Goal here is to let you understand the high level point about this resolution. If there is interest, there are nice set of features that you can develop which can be used, but feel free to take a look at the thesis. Feel free to think about it and come back to me if you have any questions. So when we built this Finding Nemo, we thought that we should actually make this public, and then we made a tool browser plugin which actually shows you red color as in the Facebook update. When you're doing the update, it will show you a red with the information that Facebook post is similar to a Twitter post. The text box around the post shows up in red. Right? Let's take this was a Twitter post, and this was the Facebook post. In this case, it is showing you green because there's no relationship between the Twitter post and the Facebook post. We also did all of this for location also. For example, in Twitter, you have your location as Mumbai, and then in Facebook, you had it as Delhi. And at some point in time, you say that, let me change it to Mumbai. We can actually stop you saying that, look, if you change this to Mumbai, there's high probability that your identity may be getting resolved. Please understand, to do all of this, one thing that we need is this access to the information, right? So that's what when you come to Finding Nemo and say that help or resolve my identity, we're going to take OAuth from you so that we can actually access your profile information and use that to do the resolution of the identity, right? Which is how it should be read, because your information is only with you. If the app Finding Nemo has to get access to it, you have to approve it. That's the idea. We built this app and we made a servers where you can go give your usernames of different networks, and it'll actually tell you Twitter and Facebook, what is the linkability, Facebook and Insta, Twitter and Insta, all of this linkability scores 0.74, 0.25 and 0.26, which will help you to understand the linkability score between these networks of your handle. We have already discussed this, but some concrete methods to use is that I said feature before, which is a username. If you look at the username, you can actually use some distance measures, right? This is Jaro Winkler distance between the users, which is pk.profgiri and Ponguru. What is the distance between one character, two character, three characters? So the distance between these two usernames, it actually calculates and gives the score. The same way the name, the location, you can also find the length of the common substring geolocation, which could be the Delhi, Bombay, that kind of information. Name also, you can do a distance measure. DP picture, post, DP picture, you can do the algorithm of image comparison and saying whether these images are same, image similarity score, location similarity score. All the similarity scores are calculated, some kind of a metric here, and then score is developed. Pretty naive approach, but it just helps. It just helps to put them all together. So this is the how a browser extension is working as part of the tool itself. Whatever I said now is put in this figure with details of what is shown to the user. So the user profile change, post update. Post update is when you're doing a post. If you remember the example, it's going to show you a green color and a red color in your post. And when things are getting changed, when the location is getting changed, it can actually recompute the linkability score and provide you the score with it, right? So recompute the score, whenever you're doing any activity, changing a location, adding posting an update, uploading a picture, changing your DP, changing your car picture, all of that, the score has to change, right? So that's what this slide is showing you, which is to help you understand when you do changes, given that we have access to your profile because you've given the app the approval to get access, we look at that profile information and we compare when you make some changes. So this one is a study that was done where this Chrome browser extension was used by participants, and minutes since start of the experiment, right? And this one is the number of the participants themselves. Complete timeline of activities of all 12 participants who took part in the control lab studying performing various tasks in control and treatment period. So if you look at the labels here, which is view on pop-up, view the pie chart, these are all information that we showed you earlier, this one, right? The pie chart, they're looking at the pie chart, basically we wanted to study how the users actually behave in terms of using the information that is provided as a nudge, right? So that is what this study is about, where you can clearly see that, for example, you can see that view pie chart, right? This user P3 at the point of 35 minutes went and looked at the pie chart, right? Control to treatment, green post box. So these kind of users, for example, let's look at the green user, right? So let's take even this one, right? So these are users which are a red post box, right? So when they are using the system, they're actually getting the post red color as part of the feedback that they're getting. So the green color also are here, right? So this is the green color. They are getting a green color box around their post. This one is getting information about notification pop-ups, profile change, right? So for some users, they are actually changing the profiles. They're doing a post here. Sorry, they're doing a post here. Right. All the activity we were able to track, and this shows the information about what users were doing. Here are some papers around this on the reliability of profile matching, how good this comparison of profiles are, and how good you can actually compare the users. This was one of the initial papers that we got inspired, and then following up, we did some work on the dynamics of user change, behavior of Twitter. So one of the things, if you remember, I said earlier, is that if you know the past account information, this is now. If you know the past, the comparison may be much better, right? So if you go back to one of the slides that we talked about, if you know the handle, this one, if you know my past accounts, it's actually very useful to compare. Okay, so this one. So then Paridhi took over. Paridhi started looking at this topic, other times and other values, leveraging attribute history. That's the history part. So the identity resolution is an interesting problem. I think if you're interested, take a look at the papers and come back and we can talk about it. But here is one task that I wanted to give you. What you should do, an activity, I think you can do it as part of your activity that you do for every week in whatever way. Take two similar looking profiles like mine on two platforms. What suggestions or recommendations would you suggest so that the resolution fails, right? What to submit? Discourse, feel free to submit it on Discourse. Your list of suggestions and recommendations. Okay. Thank you for listening to this part. This part is about identity resolution and about having publicly available information, personally identifiable information that is publicly available. How can you actually use or misuse it? Thank you for listening. See you soon.